Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Tony Ndoro, live from Johannesburg, and in your top stories this evening, a community and school in shock. A school teacher in Folweni gunned down in broad daylight just meters from his classroom. Did ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule help form a rival party? The party's NEC will now investigate these allegations. A lack of beds and staff. Employees at the Mamelodi Hospital speak out as the Human Rights Commission pays an unannounced visit demanding answers. A teacher has been shot dead in front of his pupils at a Durban school. Sibongiseni Nyawose had just arrived at Masuku Primary in Folweni when he was confronted by a gunman. The motive for the crime isn't known yet. Desantathia has more.
Sibongiseni Nyawose didn't even make it into his classroom at Masuku Primary School on Tuesday morning. The senior teacher was shot in the head, meters away from where he'd just parked his car.
The children were playing here, and the teacher arrived to school, and while he was walking there in the passage, that's where he was approached by one unknown suspect who fired several gunshots to him and fatally wounding him. And the suspect ran out of the gate.
Nyawose's body, although covered, remained in full view of pupils and parents for several hours while authorities worked at the scene. When his body was finally removed, shocked silence was replaced by the sound of collective grief.
Njengoba kwenzekile lokhu thina njengamalungu omphakathi inhliziyo zethu iconsa igazi, izingane zethu ziyathuthumela, sizoqhubeka kanjani zifunde uma ngabe isimo sekanje.
The KwaZulu-Natal Education MEC, Kwazi Mshengu, has sent his condolences, promising that safety in schools will be prioritized. But it's too late for Sibongiseni Nyawose. Desantathia in Folweni, Durban.
The ANC NEC is investigating its Secretary-General Ace Magashule, and former ANC Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe is at the helm. Magashule is being investigated for his alleged involvement in the formation of the African Transformation Movement Party. Kgalema Motlanthe filed this report.
Ace Magashule finds himself in hot water with the ANC's NEC and the National Working Committee. The politically embattled Secretary-General is being investigated for his alleged role in the formation of a rival political party to the ANC. The ATM was launched in 2018, and Mzwanele Manye later joined as policy head. On Monday, the ANC's National Working Committee processed the NEC's decision to investigate Magashule, with former ANC Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe leading the panel. But the ANC Women's League says it doesn't believe Magashule has done wrong.
Let's not assume that the SG is guilty. It will be towards or at the end of the investigations where we get the truth in terms of this matter. But for now, I don't believe that the ANC SG can do such.
A political analyst believes this could be the beginning of the end of Ace Magashule's power within the ANC.
Already, Ace Magashule's wings are beginning to be clipped. So it's going to be interesting to see, whilst this process is being chaired by Kgalema Motlanthe, how exactly Ace Magashule is going to be marginalized further in the African National Congress.
The Secretary-General has, on previous occasions, denied any wrongdoing. He's also denied being part of any plan to form splinter political parties.
We are ready for that battle.
Kgalema Motlanthe, Johannesburg.
Medical staff at the Mamelodi Hospital have broken their silence. This after an elderly woman, Martha Murray, was tied to a steel bench there for 8 hours. They say it was because of shortage of beds and staff. Meanwhile, the South African Human Rights Commission has inspected the hospital. Liranzu Temba has the story.
Unannounced and demanding answers. Human Rights Commission officials inspecting the hospital that's been marred by controversy. And medical staff here are holding no punches in describing their dire working conditions.
Overcrowding. The patients become so irritable with us, impatient with us, blaming us.
And many times we need to even close the casualty that we're not able to cope because we don't have the beds, we don't have sufficient, even manpower.
Last month, 76-year-old Martha Murray was humiliated and tied to this bench for 8 hours.
The patient was restrained sitting up, and as they were admitting that the patient was, the confusion was setting in. She was trying to remove the restraints. When we tried to remove the restraints at the end.
Okay, she's sitting here. How is she restrained?
But the South African Human Rights Commission isn't buying this explanation.
If we do not find that explanation plausible, we are still of the view that her rights were infringed, and we will continue with our litigation against the department. We are also amenable to settling this matter out of court.
5 people, including 3 doctors, a nurse and a security guard, are on special leave for their role in tying up Martha Murray. Leranzo Temba, Pretoria.
Mfuleni municipality says its workers affected by a sewage spillage will be taken to the head office for now. Workers downed tools last week due to the unbearable working conditions. Kgalema Motlanthe has more.
An unsightly scene as you walk into the basement. A sewage spillage has forced workers to vacate this building used by the Mfuleni municipality in Vanderbilt Park. These desks remain unoccupied as workers have downed tools, saying no more.
In the past 2 weeks, I had an asthma attack in the lift. So it's not easy to come to work while you know you're going to inhale something.
I have constant headaches and my chest as well. I kept on having short breath, it gets blocked.
The beleaguered municipality says it's forking out 4 million rand every month in rent for the building. But what's going on here?
There's a sewer overflow in the building. So the workers felt they can't take it anymore because it has been an issue that they've been raising it.
The council says it has limited resources and the building's infrastructure is decaying. It's also attending to cases of workers who are sick because of the environment.
This morning we had a meeting with the municipal manager as well as the mayor, wherein a decision has been taken that of immediate interest is to find alternative buildings.
The municipality was placed under administration last year. Meanwhile, its financial recovery plan has just been approved. It requires at least 25 million rand to replace the sewage pipelines. Kgalema Motlanthe, Vanderbilt Park.
Right, in other news today, 2 high-profile former cabinet ministers resigned as MPs. Former Minister of Women in the Presidency, Batabile Dlamini, wrote a scathing 8-page letter to ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule. Former Tourism Minister Derek Hanekom also tendered his resignation from Parliament. Parents and friends gathered today to remember 16-year-old Daniel Bakwela. He was stabbed to death outside Forest High School in Johannesburg last Monday. Talk of the social ills plaguing schools dominated his memorial service. The Bakwela family sat and listened inconsolable. Gauteng Education MEC Panyaza Lesufi will be meeting with the school governing body later this week. Residents of Walmer Township in Port Elizabeth are trying to rebuild their lives following a devastating fire. At least 80 people are homeless after the blaze engulfed informal structures in Area Q yesterday. Strong winds fanned the flames as well. While some have started rebuilding, others are still counting the cost of losing everything they had. No injuries have been reported. Okay, still to come here on eNews. An historic day for the LGBTI community in Botswana as the High Court abolishes anti-gay laws. Ropiwa, what's coming up business-wise?
Well, Tony, the rand has reached its best levels in a week, and this is as the US stops adding fuel to that global tensions fire.
Right, welcome back. It's time now for business news with Ropiwa. Let's start with what? The output for April beat expectations.
Yeah, so we saw manufacturing data coming out today, really exceeding expectations that manufacturing analysts and participants within the sector had in mind. So we do know that manufacturing, along with the mining sector, have been battered this year, Tony. And I don't exaggerate. The power crisis, that load shedding that we saw in the first quarter of this year, really put a big slump on the manufacturing sector. And now, as we enter the second quarter of the year in terms of the sector, we see a major improvement. So we're seeing that on a year-on-year basis, manufacturing was up 4.6%, with the biggest contributions being the cars, electronics, metal products, as well as furniture. So the manufacturing of vehicles, which was quite surprising, was up by 18.6%. So while we're not buying cars domestically, we're definitely exporting a lot more cars. What was also very interesting, Tony, I must note, was that clothing and footwear sectors decreased quite a bit. So it just indicates to the health of the consumer. Consumers are just not spending money on clothing and footwear as they normally would in a normal economic environment. So we are seeing that the power issues did ease because of that emergency bailout fund that government put through in March. It was 5 billion rand given to Eskom just so that it could continue with operations as well as mitigate against those issues against load shedding.
Okay, let's hope that also creates jobs as well in the long run.
Let's hope so.
Okay, and markets today?
So it was a good day for the markets today, Tony. The JSE closed higher with mining stocks leading the way, and this is as global sentiments towards riskier assets improved. So we saw manufacturing companies topping the top 40 index, with Tiger Brands rising an impressive 2.6%. If we take a look at your commodities, gold was down slightly earlier after reaching its lowest level in a week. This is obviously on the back of improved sentiment around global trade tensions. Meanwhile, Brent crude was 0.33% lower. Markets are still waiting on a supply cut deal between Russia and Saudi Arabia. No direction there as yet. And if we take a look at the local unit now, the rand rallied more than 1% today, and it came back from a 9-month low, as much bigger than anticipated expected growth in the local manufacturing sector boosted that battered currency and equities. But we are still waiting for that State of the Nation address, Tony.
It's rallying, but it's still at 14.6.
Well, it's better than it was a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
it's trying.
I suppose. Positivity. Thank you so much. All right. Right, let's take a look at news from beyond our borders now, and we'll start in Botswana, where the High Court in Gaborone has ruled unanimously in favor of changing the law to decriminalize gay sex. The legislation against homosexuality was imposed in 1965 during the colonial era. Under the law, any persons engaging in consensual same-sex relationships could face up to 7 years in prison. And a high court in Botswana has decriminalized homosexuality, and that was a story we were talking about there. But right now, I'll tell you what, more bodies have been recovered in that accident in Danube, on the Danube River, and that's, of course, in Hungary. After the break, Candice is standing by at our weather center. She's going to bring us the weather details. And then, Boots. Well, there's Candice. Boots, passport, belts, and even credit cards. These are just some of the late actor Burt Reynolds' belongings that are under the hammer. Okay, time to go to Candice now with the weather details. Good evening, Candice.
Hi, good evening, Tony. Well, we're about to see a cold front move in the Western Cape. In fact, the rain should start in the next half an hour or so, bringing about quite a change in the weather as we head into Wednesday. It's quite a large cold front with a strong push of cold air moving in behind it, and it's reinforced by a secondary front bringing in intermittent showers for the Western Cape for most of the day on Wednesday. We're also expecting lots of cloud with it. Now, ahead of the cold front, we'll see warm temperatures into KwaZulu-Natal and the Lowveld, with another sunny and mild day over the northeastern parts of South Africa. And then as we head into the second part of the day, you'll see another batch of showers into the Western Cape, but also spreading through to the Eastern Cape and along the eastern coastline. And we might even see a light dusting of snowfall on some of the western and eastern Cape mountaintops. Now things remain sunny and dry over the central and eastern parts of the Northern Cape, but you'll see that cooling reaching De Aar and Colesberg at around 20 degrees, colder in the western parts with the possibility of rainfall. For the Western Cape, we're expecting a very chilly day on Wednesday with most maximum temperatures in the mid-teens, and you'll see lots of cloud here with intermittent showers for much of the day. Rainfall will also push in along the Eastern Cape coastline as well as the adjacent lying interior. Mthatha remaining warm at 26, but you'll see that cooling pushing in from the west. Makhanda with a high of 17 degrees. Sunny and warm throughout KwaZulu-Natal, 27 for Pietermaritzburg. Ulundi even just shy of 30 degrees. You'll also see a sunny and hot afternoon for Skukuza at 31 degrees, but with fine and mild weather over the western parts of the province. Sunny and dry weather continues for Limpopo, Polokwane at 23, 27 for Messina, Thohoyandou and Tzaneen with a warm afternoon in store. Fine and mild for Northwest, 22 as we head towards Mahikeng, and Potchefstroom at 2 and 23 degrees. Another sunny day is expected for the Free State, 21 for Bloemfontein and Welkom, and you'll see fine and mild weather continuing for Gauteng, 1 and 21 for Vereeniging, and Pretoria topping 23 degrees. Now on Thursday, we're expecting another cold day, especially over the western, central and southern part of South Africa, with significantly cooler weather into KwaZulu-Natal with the possibility of rain. Still fine and mild for Gauteng, but by Friday we're expecting cooler weather in the northeast. And although you'll see a predominantly dry day across South Africa, we're expecting a cool forecast. That's all from the Weather Centre. Have a good night.
All right, thank you so much, Candice, there with the weather update. We'll see you again next time. Right, we end here. The personal belongings of Hollywood actor Burt Reynolds are set to go on sale at an auction in Beverly Hills. Everything from his boots to his furniture and paintings are up for sale. His passports, credit cards, luggage, belts, ties and clothes will also be included. The most valuable lot at the auction is a 1979 Pontiac Trans Am, which was owned by Reynolds and his business partner, Gene Kennedy. The car was just a tribute to Reynolds' role in the movie Smokey and the Bandit and is expected to fetch about $500,000 US. The actor died in September last year. Okay, let's just recap your top stories for this evening now. A community and school in shock. A school teacher in Folweni gunned down in broad daylight just meters from his classroom. Did ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule help form a rival party? The party's NEC will now investigate these allegations. And a lack of beds and staff, employees at the Mamelodi Hospital speak out as the Human Rights Commission pays an unannounced visit demanding answers. That's it from myself and the crew. Have yourselves a good and safe Tuesday evening. Bye-bye.